So, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to post this video yet because I have no idea where it's going to go. But I'm going to go down probably a rabbit hole of stuff I wanted to discuss since December, but I've been putting it on hold because honestly, I wasn't planning on doing anything about it. I think I was very clear about the fact that in December, I had three of my kids. My eldest was in a good state, and that I was going to just not do activism anymore because I genuinely don't want to do this. Like, if I can tell you if there was anything else I could do, I would do that right now. But clearly, that is not where this is going. And it just got to the point where it became time to start sharing some stuff that I haven't actually spoken about at all. And for the most part, I haven't spoken about it because I'm on a journey of discovery. So, despite all of the what I've been told on email is the sympathy posts and the looking for sympathy and trying to get people to feel sorry for me, which is so far from the truth. But according to the powers that be, that is where I'm at on social media. There's actually a lot more that I've been busy with, besides like those random, not planned posts. Like life happened and I shared it as it was happening. But in the last few years, I've been doing a journey of discovery about something that I was not afraid to talk about. It sounds a little bit unhinged, right? But when you put all the pieces of your life together and there's just so much of it that doesn't make sense to like the normal person, like a normal human being will put together the timeline in my life and the specific things that have happened and be like, this is a horror movie that seems like a far-fetched sort of story. I still think that. I'm living it. I've been living it. And I'm just like, things just don't add up, right? That it took me to a place where I was just having to look in other areas, look in other places for answers. Why would you come from a family system that is abusive and toxic and then get married into a system that's abusive and toxic? And then the second you try to extract yourself from that system, everything shuts down on you. And then you are also not able to completely exit the system because no matter where you go, they will track you down. And then also the fact that it it seems as though the second I was like, no, I'm done with y'all, just in general the entire system, because in my case it's three different family systems, and I'll talk about that just now. But it seemed like since you're not willing to be part of the system that we created that requires conformity, we will no longer have any relational equity or any proximity to you and you or your children's needs. I'm a grown up. I dealt with that. I'm just like, then I'm gonna while it out here on the streets. But the thing about it is, it's not like I know what I'm doing. And I think people assume I know what I'm doing because I have educated myself on things like abuse, narcissism, the character traits, the personality type, how I can recognize them almost instantly in a conversation. Like, those are things that I taught myself mainly for my own protection. As time went by, it became helpful for other people. And I'm not doing it as meaningfully as I would like on social media because honestly, my social media stuff is not planned. It's just, I'm winging it. But on this journey of discovery, I've come to find something that I am very wary to talk to people outside of not even Christian circles, out of true biblical study circles, people who actually understand the Bible and the meaning of their life and their relationship to God, because Christian can also be a cult. Sorry, we live with a lot of people here, but I went down a rabbit hole now for the last 2 years, and the more I keep digging, the more I'm finding things. They don't shock me because I understood things like family bloodlines and systems and all of that. But a couple of months ago, I said to someone, I feel like I am at the cornerstone of three family systems that are both toxic and abusive. And they have all managed to go unscathed because they have conformed to the system. And I seem to be bearing the brunt for wanting to exit the system in such a way that things have happened where every pipeline that I could have accessed has completely shut off. And I know it sounds crazy. Like, it coming out of my mouth sounds absolutely ridiculous. Like, I feel like I sound like a crazy person. But the more I dig, the more people who do this work, people who teach people about things like destiny swapping. I didn't even know that was a thing until December. Who understand that there are multiple things going on in the world beyond our physical, you know. There are things happening behind the scenes, that there are Christian people, there are people in the church, there are people who are prophets, who aren't actually prophets, but are serving a completely different entity under the guise of prophecy. I mean, we see this in Africa in general, who understand that there are things like altars and cults and belief systems that they try to lay onto people in order to get them under a certain level of control. We know this, I think, just basically from the information. We live in Africa, we've seen some of this stuff. But to finally wake up to the fact that you may have been born into a system that has had altars from hundreds of years ago, and the system is angry that you have exited, so it has shut everything, sounds like literally the makeup of a Netflix series. I Every day I wake up thinking to myself, I'm just going delusional. Like, I must just be nuts. Like, can this reality not just be it? But I've seen things. I've had dreams that are pointing otherwise, very loudly, very strongly. So, because I've been on this journey of discovery, because I'm like, okay, if God doesn't want me to have a media business which fell apart and I had to let go of everything in order to get my children, then maybe He wants me to go back to activism. I don't want to do it, but then I changed everything on my profile. Not even hesitantly. Like, it felt like under duress. I've said this before. I would really, really, really love my life to be simple. I want my life to be so simple that I get up in the morning, get my kids ready for school, take them to school, go work in my bank job, sit behind a desk, and just become a drone, and come home and live a peaceful, quiet life. Like, if I could tell you how I have imagined that just being my life, coming home, cooking a meal, laughing with my kids, being able to support them, you know. Oh, I can live in a 1 bedroom apartment or 2 bedroom apartment. I don't need fancy. I don't even need a car. This is why I'm in Cape Town. I can walk everywhere. Like, I don't want for things. I mean, look at me. Like, I just want a simple life, and it's not happening. It was going to push me down some sort of rabbit hole just to figure out what was going on. And it has brought me to a couple of really amazing connections and people who I undoubtedly know that they have a calling on their lives. Like, there's no way. I mean, the one lady, it was also so, I know her from years ago when she just swept up in my life, and it turned out we have almost exactly the same experiences. And in her case, she's been able to see who's doing what, where, and how the system has seriously tried to oppress her. But because her relationship with God is on another level, like scary level. What you guys don't know about me, which I'm going to share candidly now, is that my grandmother was a prophet. And I know it sounds very, very, but she was one of those scary kinds. So all the stories that I've been told is she was one of those women who would have serious encounters with spirits that were attacking her, and would speak directly to them. And she was the kind of person that if someone weird walked into our house, because everyone visited at my grandmother's house, they had a lot of children, big pastors in Johannesburg right now used to visit at my grandmother's house, and she'd be able to tell you within 5 minutes whether that person was a good or bad person to have around. Like, my grandmother was a powerful woman, and she died very young. So me and my family have had proximity to this forever, right? I don't think I realized how much of an impact knowing that was going to have on my season right now. And I've had a little bit of an obsession or something. So since all of this began, I've had an obsession about how the Israelites exited Egypt. And I come to the understanding that the reason that they were in the wilderness for so long, part of it was because they needed the original bloodline that had taken in all of the things from Egypt, that had become so accustomed to Egypt's ways, and the culture and all of that needed to die out, because they could not go into a new place with the old bloodline attached. They would have ended up dying because they would have reverted back to the old ways because of comfortability, but also because of fear of doing something so different from what they were comfortable with. But there was also like a spirit of oppression that was attached to them coming out of Egypt. I've been pretty obsessed about this for a very long time. I'm trying to understand how my life worked in relation to what the Egyptians, the Israelites went through, and some of the traditions and cultures that needed to happen right before they crossed over into the promised land. I'm still way into my investigation on that, but I've seen so much, there's so much synergy between what they did and what's going on in my life and what's been going on in my life. And this was the only place where it seemed like I could find any real answers, because you know when people come to me and ask me, oh, why don't you have a relationship with your family? I'm like, I'd like to know too. Please, me, I want to know too. Because nobody's had a conversation with me. And the last conversation I had, I was being lambasted, like I was being told how useless I am and how a terrible human being I was, which completely caught me off guard. So what I did to this very moment in time, Mina, I don't have an answer. I'd love to know. On both sides of my family, I have zero idea what I did. I'm a confessor. I'll tell you what the things that I did wrong. But to you, it seems that my openness and me trying to be as clear and as honest about things that have happened to me just set everybody off. And to this moment in time, I don't understand why. Like, what is it about being honest and true, having evidence for things, is so jarring to people? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And because of that retaliation, I was just like, nah, this can't be just it. This can't be all. Something just feels a bit off and sinister to me. This is what led me down the spiritual rabbit hole. Because it turns out that, like I said earlier, I form like the cornerstone of 3 family systems, which are not only toxic and abusive, but there's actually something that exists within that family bloodline that forces oppression, especially on people with gifting. And now I have evidence for this. My family are a bunch of incredibly gifted people. At some point, I was just like, I need to unplug from these people because these people are so gifted. My insecurities were so loud. I was just like, I don't even want to compete with them because they are amazing at what they do. Musically, on both sides of my family. Both sides of my family, musically, these people are like savant level. I'm not even kidding. One has made an album, other one has made a song, the other one's been singing all their lives. Like, these people are brilliant musicians, right? On the other side of the family that I have in Cape Town, singers, like people. If I tell you, I come from a family of people that are just like you. But when I go over everything and I look at everything that has happened, no one has been able to expand their gifts, and it's always been so interesting to me. Why? There's been multiple prophecies over my family over the years. Many of them I got through stories from family. Sorry, I need to moisturize. I'm dry. But there's been multiple prophecies over my family. One of my uncles was prophesied on. He didn't listen. He subsequently is deceased now. But there was multiple prophecies over my family. My family is pretty big. They're pretty gifted, pretty talented people. But I don't see what is happening. I like all of that stuff. It's just not coming to play. And I had to ask myself, why? So when I had this family encounter last year and the things that came out and some of the stuff that was said, I had a conversation with someone that is helping me deal with the prophetic yesterday, and during our conversations, some of that stuff that happened in that meeting came back to mind, and I was like, oh yeah, this was it and this was it, and now everything just seems like it's coming back together. From what I can tell, there is a bigger system than just the manipulation, abuse, and control that is floating in the family. And the reason I come to that conclusion is because my normal human understanding says that if someone is going through something, and even though the situation seems confusing to you, the first thing a curious person is going to do, an empathetic person, someone who wants to help, is asking questions. You're not coming to the rescue. You're not like, oh my God, I'm the savior, because you don't really know what's happening, right? Asking questions. And then if the answers don't make sense, you are then following up with answers, evidence to those questions. If all those things pan out, an empathetic person, let me talk about me. What I would do is then find ways to assist, find ways to stand in the gap, find ways to stand by that person. Now, look, I know everybody's not made up the same way, even other empathetic people. But in my view of the world, this is just a logical way to follow through. The truth of the matter is, this all started in February 2021. I had a conversation with someone who, for all intents and purposes, was a family member that should have stepped in and told them some of the stuff that was going on. What then subsequently happened was that they went quiet on me. Like they detached themselves from me specifically, but they were continuing to talk to the other party, and I was heavily confused. I didn't understand what was going on. And when things started blowing up, I remember this day specifically, the 21st of September 2021, this person came to my house, and I was devastated at this point. We had no food. I didn't know what was going on. I was being stalked and harassed to the point where I was just like terrified. This was around the time when the cops were asking me if there was a gun involved, because there was a bullet and lots of things happening, and I was freaking out because I didn't know at any moment if I was gonna die. Like, just put yourself in that like situation. And this person came to my house because it was my son's birthday, and my immediate reaction to them was like, where have you been? Like, I haven't seen you or heard from you in months. Things are on fire. Like, my house is on fire. Where have you been? Like, the way that we are all raised, there's certain family members who are supposed to show up for you when you're going through hell. And this person had proximity to some of it, so they knew some of what was going on was definitely possible. And the reaction that I got was, yeah, you were never there for me when I needed you. My response was, wow, what a gaslight. Like, that's just immediately what I said, because I was in fight or flight mode. And even though they may not have had the capacity or whatever to respond to my immediate thing, the fact that they knew that there was trouble, and the trouble was bad, by that time my TikTok video had already gone viral about my son being beat in the head, that they responded like that through me. But it was the beginning of a series of events that now has finally come into full context. And what breaks my heart about it is, everybody stuck in the system is never going to see the full context, because they are running in the cog of the system. They are part of the wheels that are turning in the system and have no idea, and are innocent, and who think that they are serving the Lord through all the righteousness and everything, and not realizing how attached to this they are. Anyway, I mentioned my grandmother. So based on all of the understanding of Christianity and spirituality and understanding a calling and understanding a relationship with God and understanding prophecy and what God wants us to do individually, I had come to the conclusion that they were not only physical and mental aspects of what that was influencing the things happening, but there was a spiritual context that seemed to be much larger. And it was something I couldn't grasp because my view of what was going on is based on my experience, because I haven't had, I don't know if this is the right description, but I haven't had visual proximity to what those people were doing until I started doing my investigation. So it turns out that if you come from an abusive family system, you may know this already, that this is attached to your bloodline. And if you happen to be one of the people who try to extract yourself from it, what you're going to meet up is a ton of altars. And you're going to fight right up against the occult. And you may think that that's not happening. Oh, but I can guarantee you it is. Because despite our innocent view of the world, the occult can also live inside the church, and in fact can thrive inside of the church. Because if you don't know, now I'll tell you. It is very easy to tap into a spiritual side using the occult and making it look like it's a genuine connection with God and the Holy Spirit. Please go and watch Prophet Isi and Taylor Walsh's podcasts, because that has confirmed so many things for me. And I think the things that happened in my family was that they had already spoken to me about some of the stuff when I was younger. So I already had some understanding of what was going on. And now as an adult, I'm just like, huh. Because literally, let's just be honest. It is too weird that you're thriving when you're in an abusive system, and then when you leave it, like, who applies for 30,000 jobs and can only get 2 interviews in 4 years? Like, that is not common sense. Like, who does that? In my mind, I'm just like, y'all, if my CV said that I was a prostitute on the side of the street, then that would make sense. But I did PR, media, and marketing for years. We worked with the biggest people in the country. So please explain to me how, after thousands and thousands of applications, I got 2 interviews and not 1 job. None of it makes any logical sense. That's not even the only thing. There's like other things that I'm not going to discuss on here that I have seen. You try to open the hose, it gets shut. You try to open the hose, it gets shut. There just comes a level when you're just like, there's a lot more going on here than what meets the eye, and I need to dig. So this week I came to a very huge discovery, and I think I always knew it. I just think I didn't want to admit it. Because in this time we've been working through prayers, we've been working through breaking down of altars, not confessing, but working through I'm trying to find the word. I can't find the word. I'll find it. But there are certain things that you have to do in certain prayers: breaking down of altars, speaking to family bloodlines, breaking that off of your children, breaking that off of yourself, speaking in to all of the things that have been connected to you. I once had a dream. Those of you who understand the occult know that there's I think it's a twin demon spirit that actually tries to sleep with you. I had a dream like that when I was married, and I didn't understand where it came from. It creeped the crap out of me. Climbed through my window, and it was faceless. Like, stuff like that was happening. So I had to really go into pray and work through all of that stuff, and didn't realize I wasn't focusing enough on my family bloodline, because all of the things that have been coming are foundationally set on my family bloodline. We talk about bloodline curses, y'all, it goes much deeper than that. These systems operate through an occult through creating things in the occult in order to suffocate or kill you if and until you submit into their system. Because if you submit into their system, they can control your gifts, your dreams, and your talents and use it for their own benefit. I'm not willing. I'm so sorry. I am not willing. I have watched people in my family line all lose their gifts or not use them at all and die. I don't kid you. Die having not fulfilled what they were purposed to fulfill. Gifted people. I am not half or even quarter as gifted as half of those people. I've seen them die with their gifts on their sleeves. And it's made me wonder if things have been so troublesome in the last couple of years because I decided I was no longer going to be a part of it. And why I had to consciously make the actual decision to cut people off physically. Like, I physically sent messages and said, I do no longer want to have a relationship with you. We have nothing to discuss. I now see what's going on, and I will no longer invest time, energy, or any of that in a relationship with you because I can see what your plans are and they don't serve the greater purpose God has for me. And you know how I know I was right? Because when I said that, 2 days later, they were on my social media following some of what I was doing. And I was just like, this is absolutely crazy. This is narcissistic people do. Leave me alone is not enough. Leave me alone means stalk me until I can give you attention. That's what leave me alone means in a narcissistic world. So I'm ranting, like totally. But I'm processing still all of this. I'm praying about it. I know now which specific things I need to deal with in my family bloodline because I do not want my sons and my daughter to ever be a part of this bloodline. They've been coming for my children in every which way possible. And you know what is the wildest thing for me is, you know, when you try to have a common sense conversation with someone, when you're just like, can we sit and talk about what's actually going on? And they're like, no, you just want to talk about the past. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about the past. I want to talk about what's going on right now. Like, this moment in time. Like, our current lived experience in the same environment. Can we have that conversation? Before you can even have that conversation, they are feeling attacked. I was like, that's weird. And I think what kills me about it, what scares me, is that I'm seeing this more and more with people who have platforms in ministry, guys. Not my church. My church is amazing people. Oh my God. Those people. But when I'm talking about family systems, people have platforms in church. When you try to have a reasonable, meaningful conversation with them, what they do is what narcissistic people do. They divert and distract and try to focus on something. So one of the conversations that I had in that meeting last year was, I don't understand why I have to beg for help when I know I'm going to be destitute. Like, there is a full home, full amenities that can both house me and my kids. And I'm not going to be mooching or any of that, but it can buffer us until I can get back up on my feet. So I don't understand why it's like I have to pay for it somehow. That's how it was coming across. Like, I need to pay for the privilege of a family who would take care of me. That just was strange to me. When I brought that up, the comment that came back was, yeah, I also had a hard life and you don't know what I went through. I'm like, wait. Answer this. Then we can talk about your stuff. I'm not saying we're going to ignore you. I'm saying let's deal with this thing because this is the reason why we're here. That has happened so often that I'm just like, at what point is anybody going to wake up and be like, but this is too weird? Like, why is nobody having actual conversations? Why up till this very moment in time has nobody actually decided to have a full-on conversation? Me, I've tried. I'm done. Me, I'm a block and delete. I block and delete everybody now. I'm like, I don't gotta talk to you. I don't gotta talk to you. I don't gotta talk to you. As long as you don't wind up in that system, and as long as and I found concrete proof of this, you are going to the other people who keep coming to me. Hey, what's happening? Yeah, the people who keep coming to me, and communicating stuff, and then I'm just like, wait, but we are related. Why? Then I can't trust you, and I'm not willing to. I'm just like, I've given people the benefit of the doubt so many times that they've shown themselves, and now I'm starting to see that there's spiritual elements attached, which is why they're so angry and refusing to have a reasonable conversation, because as far as they are concerned, they are entitled to owning me, my children, and our gifts. I have a zero tolerance for bullshit. It's just that simple. And honestly, I don't care how people perceive me. I don't care what they think. I don't care if I look nuts. I don't care if they think I'm playing victim. Like these people for some reason think I have some I like I'm sitting and contemplating, oh my god, is this what they're gonna think? I don't care. This is why I do videos like this. This is why I'm gonna post this video just as candidly as it is. But what I wanted to get to was, for all of you who have had experiences similar to mine, or there's just some things over the years in your life that have just been a bit weird, like you're just like, this doesn't entirely make sense. Don't ignore it. The biggest mistake we make is ignoring the things that just seem a little awkward and weird and not actually investigating. That's how we miss things. We miss pivotal things that have massive impact on our lives because we kind of smooth over things because it seems like it's going to make life easier. It's not going to make life easier smoothing over it. What it's going to do in cases like these is just force you to submit into a system that is not only going to affect you, but everyone that comes from you, everyone that comes from your womb, your children, your children. You know, the Bible talks about our generations. The generation that comes from you is impacted by every choice you make and everything you choose to ignore. And you need to be mindful of that. We need to stop thinking inside these comfortable little boxes. For people like me, the box doesn't exist because life has just forced it that way. But many of us are comfortable and conform to our boxes. I have no idea what this is. Cape Town. Someone has just decided that they want to play hip hop in front of our door. Anyway, yeah, that was just a rant and a ramble. We need to really investigate who we are as three-dimensional beings, mind, body, and spirit. You need to have a conversation with God that goes beyond this physical realm. Because I'm telling you, you will find out things about your life that you didn't know. Things that would possibly have happened while you were still in the womb that is affecting you going forward. And until you realize that, you will always pine for the why these relationships didn't work out, why my family is like this, why this is like that, why is things not going any better. I'm in a stage in my life where I don't pine anymore. I dream about having a home. I dream about having, a comfortable life. But it's clear that that's not the intention for my life right now. So it's just kept me grounded. It's kept me focused on the word and focused on what God wants and focusing on discovering what actually happened in my bloodline and why is the resistance so... they cannot be coming for flames like this unless it's something serious. Yeah, I've had a few aha moments and discoveries in the last couple of days, which I will not share here yet because it's not something I'm clear on yet. But let us stop being naive, man. Yo, if you know me now in real life, this is what you're gonna get. Can we just stop trying to act as though things are just cut and paste and we're gonna run into the sunset and then we're gonna die and then it's gonna be all sunshine and roses? We cannot be this naive, and I feel like humans choose naivety for comforting purposes. Maybe makes your soul feel better. Things like healing that we run from, like the plague. Things like understanding how everything you do and not having self-awareness impacts the way that you raise your children, the way that they think, the way that they feel about themselves. I like I am done with the surface level life, people. I am sick and tired of it. We all should be. If you see what's happening around the world right now, the fact that a Donald Trump is allowed to do what he's doing in America, and like 50% of that country is just living like drones and being like, oh, Donald Trump is the best. That is the scariest and most shocking thing to me. Because this idea that 1% of the world actually does their work, I think is much less. Much less than we realize. Which is scary. Because that means over time, all of us are just going to stay plugged into this matrix that is created for us and just live like drones and never experience the true nature of what our lives are supposed to be, which includes pain, which we need to be basically living in tandem with joy. Pain is not supposed to be separate from us. We're looking for so much comfort that we don't even do an investigation on our own lives, on our own history, on our family history, on our spiritual connections, on bloodlines, on things that have happened around us, things that are happening to the people around us. Like, we just want to be empty airheads because we think that is the best way to go about life. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but and I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I don't give a shit whether people like it or not, that it's coming out of my mouth. I don't care if people don't like the way that I think. I don't care. And I can say that verbatim because my experiences are 90% of people's not having that experience. So they don't have to, they can sit in their little comfort zones and just pretend that there aren't real things going on outside of them. I have so many conversations with people in Cape Town, and when I tell them what's happening on the ground in the city, they literally look shocked. They look so surprised. I'm like, how do you live here? You born and raised here. Mara, you are just not, you're just existing. Me, Mara, I lived here 3 years and I'm just like, oh, there's a lot happening. I'm not even going to go into it because someone's going to throw bricks at me. I don't know. I was just musing on all of this and I thought I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about some of it since December, but I'm feeling very, very strongly in the last couple of months. Then I want to do a lot more digging into the spiritual elements here and what is actually the thing that whatever this entity is coming for. I have an idea what it is for me personally and for my children based on some of the gifts I've seen my children display. But I'm going to leave you with this. I don't care what you think you know. There's so much more you don't know. And if you're not curious to investigate the things that don't make sense, you always live in a bubble that was created for you by other people in order to keep you chained and subdued. I'm out.